So here's our front yard. This is late July. This is the dry season here, or the middle of the dry season. This front part, let's just take a stroll around the yard a little bit here. This front part is more or less a natural area. There's the electric box, my sign denoting that this is in fact a pesticide-free zone. That's a old rusted out wheelbarrow, which has become a planter up here. The biggest trees that you see all the way through here are Douglas firs. This is a second growth Doug fir forest. It was logged shortly before the houses in this area were built. It was probably about 20-some years ago. Let's take a walk over this way. The native forest in this area is basically three kinds of trees. There's the Doug firs, and then this one is a western hemlock, which we planted here from a twig about, in the last 10 years. There's a Hicks yew here in front of it. The third is the western red cedar. I have some of those out in back. Maybe we'll comment on one of those. There's some pampas grass. It's going to get its tall stalks here in the next month or so. Oregon, I forget what this is called. Anyway, I think you can probably hear a pileated woodpecker. There's a California lilac. Over here we've got a couple of big rocks. These were delivered here by the glacier during the Ice Age, the last Ice Age. To look at some of the plants here. Here we have, the red is Crocosmia. Saw a hummingbird on this yesterday. Some of the yellow here in the back is Oregon grape, or Mahonia, which is a native to the northwest. There's a couple of them back there. There's one there, you can see the yellow leaves. I can't remember what that one's called. It grows in the summer, dies back in the winter. Sometimes it gets a flower stalk. Hasn't developed it yet this year. And here we've got some young evergreen huckleberries, which are a northwest native. This one was a volunteer, started growing by itself. Then I transplanted a couple of other ones along here. Going to make myself a little row of them. They get pretty nice little berries. You can see probably here some of the berries are coming out. They'll turn a dark blue. In this fall, about the time we get our first frost, is probably when I'll harvest. Front yard, there's a Japanese maple, which gets very nice red in the fall. That's actually the second Japanese maple that we've had in this spot. The first one, we had a late cold snap one year and it killed it. Right here in front of me, there's this large, put my hand out here so you can see for scale. It's about, maybe almost 5 feet tall now. This evergreen used to be in a little pot we had as a Christmas tree one year, many years ago. But here you can see my front with the little terraces that I've built over the years, and started to put in mostly native plants. There's a few other things in there, and there's some traditional flowers that have been there too. This right here is a couple of fig trees here. These green guys here are figs. Those are not quite ripe yet. When they start getting soft and they start to droop, is when they'll be ripe. Over here in the side yard, there's a couple of things that might be of interest. This is, of course, a rosemary here. I've got several rosemaries around the yard. This particular one here is the one I use mostly for culinary purposes. It has a real good flavor. This is a Mexican orange. This is a native plant to the southwest coast, more or less here, but it does quite well here. Gets nice, pretty, fragrant white flowers in the spring. There is a native mock orange, which I walked past and didn't film. Go around my shed here. And here we've got a clematis under a arbor here. But here, this is a native mock orange. It gets nice, pretty white flowers in the spring. That's a northwest native plant too. There's our cat Tigger on his back. This is his deck here. We've fenced it off so the coyotes can't get him, and he can't get the birds. And he enjoys his deck. He's got a little house there he can sit in, and sometimes he'll get excited because a high-tagger, sometimes a little chipmunk or something will come up and try to come in through the fence there, and he gets pretty excited. This is out in back now. This area right here, these are blueberry bushes. I planted a number of blueberries here. They get late afternoon sun in the hot part of the day. And again, of course, more Doug firs. You can see how tall these babies are. They go way up there. But there's, like I said, second growth. I thinned this a little bit. It needs a lot more thinning. Here's some hydrangeas, some other stuff. There's my wood pile. There's my compost bins. There's some more hydrangeas which hide the compost bin from the house. If you're up on the deck or in the back window, you see these hydrangeas here. There's another one. There's a nice purple one there too. Here, this is a summer blooming clematis. Here you can see it's got a nice dark purple flower. It has I haven't really trimmed it back much this year. I've kind of let it go, and it's doing its thing. You see it's just covered with blooms of this. My bird bath, a couple of bird feeders. Back here, we're in the backyard now. A big weeping tree that gets blooms and back here in the thick forest. This is I mentioned western red cedar. That actually is a western red cedar there. You can see the special kind of leaves it has. It's a volunteer growing there in the back of the forest. The western red cedar seems to be a little more tolerant of shade than the Doug firs, and it'll grow in the undergrowth more than the Doug firs do. The western red cedar, of course, was very prized by the Native Americans and also by modern Americans because it's rot resistant. So if you have something like a vegetable garden where you want to put in some rot resistant wood, but you don't want to use pressure treated and get all that metal in your soil, then western red cedar is a good choice. So anyway, here we're coming back around to the front yard again. Like I said, this is our dry season. We do not water the lawn here, so it stays green. It's been dry for over a month now, but it stays green for quite a while. In the shade, it turns brown where it's out in the sun. And we just let the yard go dormant, and then along about October, when the rains start up again, it'll be green, and it's green then the rest of the year until next year when the dry season starts. So anyway, that's a walk around the yard for July, and